Welcome to Touched and Empowered, a show created to empower individuals to value their lives by hosting think tank discussions that will inspire positive action. Touched and Empowered with Katie and Ace starts now.
Welcome to this episode of Touched and Empowered. I am Katie here with Ace, and for those of you who are not watching us, Ace's lips are an interesting shade of jade.
Oh, I like the rhythm on that one. Yes, everybody, this is for holiday enriching types of events such as St. Patrick's Day,
Birthday, spring,
birthday, spring.
green growing things.
Yes. And to be fair, understanding that we should be celebrating more of our world of nature because we live here.
Yes.
Yes. And there's been so much just strangeness in regards to our weather lately that I felt the urge to really pinpoint how beautiful it is that our earth stay green, and not in the polluted sense. I really
Oh, green pollution. Okay, depends on what you're looking at.
mhm. Ladies and gentlemen, goodness me. Yeah, no, it's been very interesting. I feel like we have gone through a metamorphosis of different types of seasons. So LA this year, 6 months of LA was great.
Gray, like just the sky was gray, weather gray,
Cloudy,
foggy gray.
cloudy skies, rain.
That's
Do you
normally
know?
not what you think of LA. You normally think bright and sunny.
Yeah, it maybe would rain one or two times a year.
Hmm.
Not this year.
I
We also had a hurricane.
heard about that. I forgot about that.
Hurricane.
Hurricane and earthquake, same time.
Right?
Which
Yeah.
I think is odd because I don't think, do they normally name hurricanes off the West Coast or do they call them something else?
We never have hurricanes.
I didn't think so. That's why I'm so confused. Okay.
We have earthquakes, sure, but at the same time, hold on. What?
Well, because
Yeah,
I'm
right.
used okay, I'm on the East Coast. I'm used to hurricanes on the East Coast. I'm used to hearing about them all the time. Not don't think I've heard of a hurricane on the West Coast before. So that's just something else that's a little bit odd.
Yeah, there hasn't been one. I think there was a date that we could reference, but it was definitely not within my lifetime, I believe. Who knows? Um, like there hasn't been one, and it rarely happens. Usually, it just misses LA. But for the fact of the matter is, there was a hurricane, and I was like, oh no. And then
And
and
then to
then
have
on
the
the East
earthquake on top
Coast,
of it.
right? Look, I absolutely love. I'm such a Gaia person here. I love Mother Earth.
Yes.
I really do. And I actually really do enjoy the feeling of feeling grounded when my feet can touch the ground, not cement.
We want to connect with the earth, not the man-made products that are in the way.
Exactly. And did you know that they're a grounding experience for anyone that ever feels like they're up in the clouds and like just not grounded? Hugging a tree, as much as you call them tree huggers, there's a reason they stay grounded. You should hug a tree. Hugging trees actually does help you feel more connected to the earth and less in your head, almost kind of going crazy.
it is, and it even if it's not a okay, I am hugging a full tree. Even if you were just sitting on the postage stamp yard that you have in front of a potted plant, it's in earth. There's still that connection there.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's talk about our favorite times in nature, shall we?
Favorite times in nature. Hmm.
What are, so I've actually learned that when I was really bogged down in my environment, right? Like I was just in my own space, especially if I was like in a city or something. and I wouldn't go outside. It actually depressed me a lot when I was a
Yeah.
child, and I felt like I just there was no reason for me to keep going because of that. And then as I got older, right, what I found was like I saw these images and photos, mainly on Tumblr, of the places I could travel. Tumblr, yeah, that's giving my age away, right?
A little bit,
There,
yes.
yeah, but then I saw these beautiful landscapes, and then I also got all these inspiring quotes to go adventure and find these images and experiences on my own. And one of my favorite, most beautiful experiences is so I went to Arches. It's a specific area in Arizona with a photographer,
Okay.
right? Part of the photography community back in the day. This was like the this was like the community of 2018, right? So you're getting all these really this is when Instagram finally like embraces just these photographers and what they're shooting because now like their work can be seen by the general public.
Right.
And I get to this arch. There's like 60 photographers ready, like underneath, right before sunrise, trying to get this shot of the sunrise going above the arches, and
These are
then
natural
just
arches
having
of
this
stone.
beautiful, yeah, natural arches
Okay.
of Arizona, right?
Beautiful.
And or I'm sorry, it wasn't Arizona, maybe it was Utah.
Okay. Somewhere in the Southwest.
So somewhere between what other of those two cities? Oh my.
Geography is not necessarily our strong suit.
No, but understanding the memory, right? So the arch, you, you can find the like if you're looking at screensavers, this beautiful photograph is everywhere.
Right.
And I was like, I ain't going to go in the hullabaloo of the photographers as they're fighting each other for a spot to take this photo. So I take a Navajo blanket, walk up above the arch. No one's around, so I just clonk on the stone there with the blanket because one, it's freezing.
Right.
And two, I'm tired and it's New Year's Day and I'm just like, whatever. And then I look at the skyline. And I really didn't expect this, but I saw the mountains and the sky look like it like the sky were like there were just multiple faces and the mountains were multiple faces and it looked like the sky was kissing the earth.
Oh, that's a beautiful analogy on what usually looks like the sky kissing the earth. But when the lighting is right and the location is right, you can definitely see more of the human connection in the sky and the earth, I think.
It was beautiful and on your side because apparently I wouldn't have seen it if I wasn't on my side.
In relation to that, you would ask me favorite time of the year, and I love early spring. The watching
Beautiful.
of the daffodils and the crocuses and the hyacinths coming up when there's still snow on the ground really
Mm.
is a sign of growing and rebirth and that nothing stays the same for me. And I'm one of my favorite memories was on a retreat that I went to. It was in the Poconos.
Oh, okay. Love the Poconos.
It was up in the mountains. And this valley that we overlooked, even though we couldn't see any green from the trees or anything else like that. The trees just looked like dead sticks out of the ground. You could see all of the green and all of the pink and the purple and the yellow and the blue from the flowers of the hyacinth and the daffodils and the crocuses and stuff. So that was just one of my favorite memories of connecting with Earth was being able to see this new life coming up.
I can see it.
I feel like I need to start Googling photos now. So then that way I can put those like on screensavers and stuff like that. But I don't think I could even find, I didn't take a photo of it back then. And again, we're going to reveal my age here. We're talking 25, 30 years ago, I think,
Mm.
when that trip happened. So yeah, the chances of me seeing that nowadays are probably so.
Probably. I think so. Isn't it sad? I actually talked to I talked to a teacher who was explaining this book to her student about the rainforest. And like when we were kids, the rainforest was there.
Yeah,
It ain't going anywhere.
that's what we thought, unfortunately.
And then this little girl was like, she actually shared how, where's the rain? What? It might not be here.
That's heartbreaking.
And that's a reality. How insane is that? I was like, getting really hard. It's like earthquake. I feel like Earth is like nervous for me right now. Um,
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that they say the same thing about the Great Barrier Reef.
yeah, how that's gonna
You know,
possibly disappear.
the temperature changes of the world are causing the water temperatures to change. So there are sections of the reef that are actually bleaching out because the reef is dying. And this is something that I always thought was going to be there. And I'm like, oh, I'll eventually get to take a trip and vacation to Australia and see the Great Barrier Reef. And now it's like, I'm going to need to go sooner rather than later if I want to see it. Now, there are things that people are doing, that governments are doing, that countries are doing to try and reverse this. I hate to say decay, but that's almost what it is of the planet. We need to heal it.
Agreed. Agreed. And it was really cool. So I'm from the Philippines. No, I'm from the Philippines. I'm Filipino.
Your family history comes from the Philippines.
My parents were born in the Philippines, moved to here. I was born in New York. And this is why I know this. So there's an island that is a water like maybe like so there are a bunch of islands, right? So it's a straight away from my father's home island, and it is called Boracay. And a lot of people go there for vacation, especially Asian tourists, right? And what I found really interesting was it got really polluted, like really heinously polluted. Like it was
Ooh,
awful, like just disgust. So what they did was they just shut down the island. No inhabitants, no hotels, no tourism, nothing. Just shut it down for I think about a year or two or something of that nature. And guess what?
it healed itself.
It healed itself. It naturally healed itself. And now people can go back to that island, but with very interesting and very specific, policies in place so that it doesn't happen again.
Right. And I know that there are several places that companies and countries, not companies, but countries and local governments are putting in place to preserve the natural beauty of their homes. Because, for example, the forest down the street at the state park where I am in Maryland, it's not the same kind of forest you're going to see in California or you're going to see in South America or Europe or any other country, because there are ecosystems that are regional, and there's so much beauty and so much we can learn from these places that are green and that are growing, besides the fact that they help everyone on the planet. you know there's something connection there that I think that we as people just need to explore more, because we've gotten away from that, because we've gotten so busy with the daily grind that we deal with.
Right. And all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, so interesting how our relationship with the life around us, but also the relationship with the life after us
Ooh.
really comes into play here to understand what's worth debating about, what's not worth debating about. Like, it's pretty simple to decide what you can let go of and what you can't let go of, and how you can make this earth a good place while you're still on it.
And there are things that are very unique that certain places have come up with. For example, there is, I forget exactly where it is in Scotland, but there is actually a location in Scotland where you can purchase a 1 foot by 1 foot square of land
And be a
to,
lord,
and
right?
you will receive a title to be a lord or a lady,
Yeah,
because
it's
that's
great.
preserving the natural ecosystem right there. They're trying to preserve this forest or this wetlands or whatever type of land it is. And to raise money to help support it, they're offering people to buy a 1 foot by 1 foot square, and then you become a titled lord, which I think is a really unique and cool way to bring awareness to preserving the local ecosystems and also have fun doing it.
Right? Exactly. And it's also really fun to just kind of know there are so many different ways to create these value propositions. Have you ever heard of this tree app? I don't actually know what the app is called anymore, but it's a tree app and we'll put it in the show notes.
Okay.
So the tree app, what it does is it's really fun. It helps you mitigate phone time.
The amount of activity you do on your phone. Okay.
Yeah, it helps stop phone addiction. So like when you put your phone on a timer, and if you have to use your phone based off the timer that you put on there, the tree that you have there dies.
Ooh.
And if you gain points, you'll gain points after every time consecutively that you've kept the tree alive.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
then those points go to actually planting a real tree.
Oh no, that's a cool idea. I heaven knows that there's a lot of organizations out there that do the whole um do this and we'll plant a tree in your name kind of deal. And I think that those are absolutely fantastic, because there are, it's not just the rainforest, it's pretty much any forest. Trees are used for everything when it comes to building or creating paper or whatever. So anytime that we can replenish what we take down would be a good idea, good plan in my book. Uh, but I like the idea of an app having some kind of automatic reward of replenishing the earth with trees, even though it is just to stop cell phone addiction.
Right? But it's helpful. I've used it. Economists today have been looking into, I know we're going into very fascinating details about this. I don't know where that came from, but economists today have been actually looking into understanding value, especially when it comes to monetary and what to reward and what not to reward. What do we do with the system that is causing mass stress in the United States? If we can't pay people and people can't pay for their living, if people can't pay for what they're doing, and then the stress level is high, and then people go into homes, like it's been a real thing, right?
Right.
It's like, so economists have been trying to figure out how do we reevaluate the monetary system in a way where we are still providing value that is met with the amount of money so that people aren't going to go crazy. One, two, imagine having these ideas that we've already created in a sustainable way for, like, let's say, planting a tree.
Right.
Like, a long time ago, it was just here's how much time, this is how much money you get for your time. Good luck.
Yeah. And it's very one-sided to me. That just
Right?
feels, and granted, back in the day that made perfect sense to my brain, but right now that feels very one-sided. And I like this idea of not only feeling the satisfaction of receiving a reward, but the reward doesn't necessarily go into my pocket. The reward goes to the planet. The reward goes towards ending hunger in my community. The reward goes towards ending homelessness. The reward goes to one of these other things that we as human society really do need.
Agreed. And it's, or preventing suicide. These are the types of, I mean, we're on this podcast, right?
Right.
We have to understanding there are different ways to really clearly define our new boundaries. And a lot of people in the United States, for so long, we were like the workhorse of the world wars. Sorry, that's
Well,
my opinion. You
yeah,
could choose otherwise,
we
but
no, we chose to become workhorses and work in an industry to get things done so then that way we can bring end to a tragedy that was going on at that particular moment in time.
agreed.
We just
And
didn't realize that we could stop doing that once that issue was resolved.
agreed. And when I think about it, we were so starved of just any type of activity, any type of energy being sent to us. Have you ever been sick for a really long time?
Yes.
And my hand goes up, ladies, I really put my hand up on that one for a long time, and then you weren't able to run
A walk.
or walk or dance or any of that. I think I went
Yeah.
a full year and a half, maybe 2 years, where I was too nervous to run because of my health.
I broke a femur and was bedridden for months and was afraid to start walking, doing anything besides walking with a cane or with a crutch because I was afraid I would hurt myself again.
Right? And it's like the moment you feel that I can walk, I can do it, I can move. I ran 2 days ago for the
That
first
is
time.
awesome.
Oh, for the very first time, I actually ran and I felt amazing. And it's like when you feel like you are given the resources necessary to fulfill a mission, which is what we did during the world wars, we were
Right.
running because we could, and we were just so halted for so long that we were like, finally.
And it wasn't just during that. There have been other times, like, for example, right after 9/11, there have been these other times in human history to where there's been this call for people to come forward and help bring in a new era. Now, it wasn't always popular, it wasn't always beneficial, but there's still that energy that came through to help move things forward in some way, shape, or form.
Agreed. And look at the pandemic as one of those things, right?
Right. That was not popular. It was not positive, but what have we gained from it?
And that was the thing. It was new ways of thinking about things. It's reevaluating certain things. Don't get me wrong. Every time we kind of go back to some type of old habit, I believe we're met with a new strain of COVID. But
But look at
thankfully,
right, but look at it this way. What are the chances you and I would have met if it wasn't
exactly,
for COVID and doing networking events on Zoom?
exactly. Addition, yeah, right. And the thing is, I believe the network that we've created over the years in COVID, it wasn't just in your hometown. It made,
Right.
you were nationally, and like I still haven't met Katie in person. Can you believe that, ladies and gentlemen?
We will get there. Eventually we will get there. I know that we will. But I agree because I've now got friends who live in different countries. I got a text message from one of them the other day just checking in to see how I was doing because she knew I was going through a rough time. And she's like, "Whenever you need a break, come visit me in Bali." I'm like, "I have an open invitation to go to Bali. Holy cow, when did this become my reality that I've got friends
Right.
all over the world?"
Right? Isn't that incredible? And some people didn't even have that opportunity prior to Zoom. Thank you, Zoom.
Yeah, thank you, Zoom. Not just Zoom, but any of these online communication platforms, because there's other ones out there too. We just use Zoom.
Yeah. What was so cool about like, all right, so I don't know about you, but in California, when we were all locked in, there was no smog, right? There was
Oh,
no,
that's true. Because there was
there
no
was
cars on the
no,
road.
exactly. And it was I was, we went, everyone told us to go inside, I know, but we were also going freaking crazy. So we drove all the way to a mountaintop where nobody was,
Okay.
right? I saw no smog. The air was perfectly clear. And not only was the air perfectly clear, there were squirrels, there was grain, I was like, I guess the air was just not livable for plants to actually grow. There was flowers. I was like, oh,
it
okay.
it gave a chance for, like how you were talking about that island that just needed that, year or whatever to kind of reset and heal itself. You know, yeah, COVID was a really extreme way to get everyone to stop driving and to let everything just kind of settle for a couple of months. But it really did allow life to replenish itself again.
Exactly. That's a very light way of putting it. Yes, it was an extreme way. I just got flashbacks of like all the news reports of the
Yes.
pandemic and
Okay.
COVID. Oh my gosh.
I am not making light of COVID. Okay. I am just expressing the fact that, I'm expressing the fact that there is a difference between looking at everything with the silver lining and actually seeing the benefits of that came out of something that was horrific. I'm not trying to find the silver lining here. I'm actually looking at the evidence of some of the benefits that came out. Some of the benefits that came out is being able to extend communication and friendships across countries, across continents, and around the world. Some of the benefits is where there have been places near cities that are highly populated that are now able to grow green again. So it's more than just trying to find the silver lining. It really is just expressing appreciation for the miracles around us.
Agreed. And yes, I'm not going the toxic positivity route. That's not what this podcast is about. We are being as grounded as possible as I wear green.
And I'm wearing
I do
orange.
agree.
Oh well.
That's earthy.
That is earthy. That
Yeah.
is
No,
earthy.
see, I really appreciate you saying that because to be honest, great good comes after great evil.
Absolutely. And it's
Always.
something that we don't always think of or we don't always see. And it's just because of the way that we as humans are designed.
Great. And I think a lot of people, once they understand how to finally close out the, the pandemic was a lot. I
Yes.
agree with that 100%. I believe a lot of people have never witnessed a pandemic in their lifetime.
Yes.
Not making
Totally
light of
agree.
that, I'm just being honest. Yes. Additionally, it changed the way that we saw our world, right? We took our power back in so many different ways. Think about it. During the riots, during the BLM movement, during any of the Stop Asian Hate movements, we took our power back in ways that we didn't know we could reevaluate before.
We were able to see new possibilities because what we thought was real got stripped away.
Right? Blue pill or red pill, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, definitely a matrix moment here.
100%. And then a lot of people had their spiritual awakenings as well during the pandemic. Oh my goodness. We could talk more about it, but there was so much awakening within that time frame.
And the biggest awakening, I think, was just what are the possibilities? Because people decided that there were possibilities instead of just crap, I'm stuck in a house all by myself with my own thoughts. We found ways to reach out. We still found ways to make these human connections, to build these relationships, even though the person wasn't in the same room with us. And I think that that just is testament as to how courageous we are as a human spirit, as a human being, that we refuse to just say we're stuck. We look for ways to grow and evolve.
Right. Now, my very question for you is remember how we were treated before the pandemic in our situations that we didn't know we were being treated as?
We need a little bit of clarification as to the type of treatment that we're talking about, because And maybe we don't need clarification on it, because it really is the way how we treated each other as human being to human being, no matter what relationship we were
Mm-hmm. Do you
in. And
remember how like a good portion of that reflected how we treated the earth?
yeah, because it really was, at least in my mind where I am, it was every man for
Mhm.
themselves.
Yeah. New York is a very interesting energy where that wasn't the case. Not always. If you get to certain parts, yeah, it was. But what I've really found was that once we kind of understand how to treat ourselves, the people across the street, the people that we actually have connections and relationships with, if once we put the utmost respect and understanding that everything we've done, we own it, we should own it. And from
Yes.
there, take full responsibility and act in according ways to either treat somebody carefully or strictly or with the right boundary, because there's a right amount of compassion that we should have for ourselves in the way that we've treated the planet so that we stop neglecting the planet.
And I think that part of that awareness is the compassion that we have for ourselves.
100%. We are human.
Yeah, we are human. We are just one biological creature on this planet with all these other biological creatures on this planet. Yeah, we really do need to live symbolically with all of them.
Yeah. The purpose of our and the purpose of mistakes, I honestly believe, so that we can actually connect with each other. We're not
Yes.
always going to be robotic. And once we make a mistake, everyone's made a mistake. And therefore, we can actually commune with another person, understand that they've done it, be tolerant of it, be tolerant of ourselves, have compassion for ourselves, and then grow from it. Understand what is the easiest way for us to not make that mistake again together.
One day at a time.
Yes. And on that note, thank you everyone for joining.
Yes, thank you for being here for another fun episode of Touched and Empowered. And I look forward to see what we unravel next time.
Thank you for joining us. We hope that the discussion today will inspire you to take positive action in your life. Until next week, be empowered.